Hey everybody, PugGaming here. You may have seen me on YouTube. I create city skylines videos, heavily modded and highly detailed. Today I am lucky enough to be collaborating again with Paradox Interactive to bring you a little tutorial and share my tips on how to create realistic farms. Now, farmlands are probably not the first thing you think of when playing city skylines, but in fact 40% of the earth is actually made up of farming. So when creating a realistic build, it's always useful to keep that in mind. But where do we begin? There's different types of farming, whether it be arable farming, which is growing crops on wheat and barley, or pastoral farming, which is the raising of animals, or you can have a mixture. It all depends on the climate and the area that you're actually building upon. These specifics also include the way that these farms would look from up above. So on screen here we can see a different variety of types of farms. Some of them are very blocky and grid-like, whereas if we move over more to the European and UK areas, we have a lot more different irregular shapes. So keeping this in mind when you're building your farmlands would make it a lot more realistic. The way I personally start my farmland is I put down the roads, followed by the trees and foliage, then I add in the decals and the actual farmland, followed by the detailing of the props and assets. Now, whilst there is no correct or wrong way of doing so, I found this method works out quite nicely because you can really use the contours of the roads that you've already laid down to make some really unusual and unique areas to add your farmland in. And as for what to place down, well, we are truly blessed with the most recent Industries DLC, along with the workshop with the combination of a number of nice buildings, props and of course decals that we can use to really get a realistic look. One thing to note as well is the most recent update from Campus has now allowed a functionality that was not available previous to this, and thanks to boformer, the ultimate level of detail mod now allows a long distance render of all decals. So I would highly recommend you jump on the workshop, use the link below and subscribe to this mod. During my research into farmlands, I worked out that the way I was placing these down beforehand were unrealistic, and what I mean by that is a lot of these farms, they have to have a way in which the tractor or the farmer can get to, so creating a border of mud or areas that are just purely mud really do add to that realistic look. On screen you can see me using Monix's more dirt decal, and what I'm doing here is I'm just paging down using the Move It mod to just limit the amount of the decal that comes through to the ground. So we're basically almost like burying the decal away so it fades a little bit more, and the combination of both of these works really well. Using the Procedural Objects mod, it's also possible to actually change the shape of these decals from being a square to being a triangle or just a very irregular shape. As you can see on the screen, we're going into the edit mode and we're basically grabbing the two nodes in each corner and pulling them around until they fix into the shape that we want. This is perfect for filling in those very strange and very unusual corners of your field. If you're interested, there will be a link in the description below for the collection for all of the assets, mods and decals I'm using in this build. So once you have all of your farmland down, you've decided on whether you're going for the fields or the animals, we now need to create a farmhouse and or a processing plant for where all of the magical stuff happens. Now, the location and the whereabouts of where you place these items also needs to be logical. You're going to have a farmhouse typically in the middle of the farm, and the processing plant will be very close, if not next to, the field that holds the animals. And once you have these down, it's time to get detailing. Use fences and hedges to divide fields up and add lots of trees and nice variation of grass and foliage. But for now, that's all from me. Hopefully this video has given you some inspiration on your next build. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more tutorials like this one.